ever wondered how a few things float on top of others? For example, how wood floats on top of water, or how oil floats on top of water. And the biggest question of all, how does ice float on water? This is due to the density of ice. Density is how much mass is there in a certain volume, and the scientific measurements have shown that water has a higher density than ice. That means that ice, having a lower density than water, has the ability to float on top of the water. Here is the formula for density. Here they say that density, which is represented by the letter P, it's a Greek letter, and it is equal to mass by volume. The volume is usually considered as a cubic centimeter, and the only changing variable is the mass. Here is some ice. If we were to measure its density, we would need to know its volume and its mass. The usual measurement for the volume is a cubic centimeter, so let's assume the volume is a cubic centimeter. If we weigh a cubic centimeter of ice, it's approximately 0.92 grams. Thus, the density of ice is 0.92 grams by 1 centimeter cube, which means 0.92 is the density of ice. Meanwhile, the density of water is measured like this. The volume, let's take it as 1 cubic centimeter of water is taken, and the mass of cubic centimeter of water is approximately 1 gram. So the density will be 1 gram divided by 1 centimeter cube. So that means it is it has a density of 1. 1 being water's density is greater than 0.92, which is ice's density, and thus due to the lower density, ice floats on top of water. But here is the tricky question. Ice and water are made of the same H2O molecules, but how do their densities change? Sometime after you kept the water in the freezer for it to turn into ice, you get it out and you will see that there's a strange hump-like structure to the ice, and you'll wonder why. Even when you pop in a bit of ice into a jar of water or a glass of water, you will notice that there's some bit of ice that's floating on top. And not the whole ice cube is floating, rather, only a small portion is floating. This is all due to the structure. There are two forms, water as a liquid and water as a solid. Water in a liquid has molecules which are packed close together. But when it turns into a solid, which is its ice form, its H2O molecules have their hexagonal lattice, meaning they have shapes which look like hexagons. This lattice covers up more space. So within the same cubic centimeter, there are fewer number of H2O molecules. So the same reason why if you add a certain amount of water and you level it perfectly to the top of a cap and you let it to freeze, you always notice there's an extra space because there are same number of molecules but they need more space.